All right, today we're going to show you a Sun and Hone. This is a model 3500, HL 3500. It's a horizontal, and it's pretty long. So I'm just going to go over a couple of quick things. This obviously is the grinding head, or the mechanism which is rotating your spindle. And it's a variable speed drive. This is a variable speed box here with a motor on here. This motor and drive head is going to reciprocate back and forth, whether it's done manually by the operator or automatically in the cycle. There's also a couple of stops here that you can set right to the full stroke of the machine. These will move by loosening them and sliding them to wherever you want them. Variable speed drive, when it's running, as you turn this wheel, you'll go faster or you'll go slower. This is the spindle portion of the drive here, and at the front we've concocted a little guard here, because in order to run this really without a workpiece to be honed, we have to separate the tool so that all this stuff doesn't flop around. So I got a piece of foam in here. This is the center part of this has one function, and the whole thing rotates. That's the second function. The rotation is turning your hone around. The section in the center is actually your feed. This is turning very slowly as this is rotating much quicker. And as this rotates, it's affecting a key over here. Let's just switch places. It's affecting a key in here, which on the other end of this long tube is expanding the honing head, is expanding your stones. Basically the way they all work, it's just another way of doing it. And then this would slide in and lock in to the you can't see right now because I have this little sheet metal cover on here so that this thing doesn't flop around. That's why we've got that on there. But you'll see during the cycle that this will feed very slowly, or you also have you have a function where you can rapid feed it, and this will feed much quicker. So this whole thing goes back and forth on a set of bearings underneath here. These are roller bearing slides, and they run the full length of the machine from here to the very back over there. And then we move over to here. This is your control box to put your program in and your cycle in and to run the machine. And then you get the wet section of it over here where all your honing is actually going on. These posts can slide back and forth by loosening a couple of Allen heads there, and you have a big chain that would go around your workpiece, which would basically be a big cylinder like you might see in a tractor or bulldozer or a crane or whatever is using these large cylinders. So this is all the wet area. We got some covers that can slide back and forth. You've got two of these clamping stations. It's like a V-block. You can go up and down with this and adjust it pretty much as you want. You can slide them up and down, and there's two of those. And then you've got oil, honing fluid that you can pipe off of any way you want. Down on the bottom here, you've got the coolant for the honing media. Next in line is the hydraulic reservoir for the hydraulic oil. Now this has a huge hydraulic piston itself that moves that head back and forth, so that needs a lot of oil. And to keep everything stable, they have a huge chiller on here to keep the oil at a certain temperature, a blower on there. You have your electronic valving for the reversal of your cycle. And we go all the way to the very back here. You have the electrical controls, which there's a PLC in there, and there's a Bosch control board for the servo hydraulic valve that's in here. And this machine is currently wired for 220 volts, 3-phase. Open that up there, and everything looks pretty good. You know, well, this machine has to be shipped in pieces, so you have to put this together. So there's a lot of cables that need to come in here and be connected and then disconnected when we take it out. So that's why we have some of those plastic sheets off of there. So the whole thing, obviously, if it was on your floor, you'd want to level it. It's got leveling screws and jack screws and all that stuff. So we're going to come over here now and take a look at the control. Let's zoom in here so we see this pretty good. We want to make sure our power's on. And it says here F1 to start the hydraulic. So I'll start the hydraulic. It says F3 to start the spindle. So we start the spindle there. For going back and forth, we've got these jog buttons. This is for, setting it up. You can jog it in and jog it out. It will stop wherever you have the stops. Now, this is variable speed, so as I turn this down, we can slow this, or we can speed it up. All right, so next thing you can do here is go to edit mode. Once you go into the edit mode, the spindle stops. There's basically two things that it wants to know about. The speed that this head is going back and forth, or the stroke, which they want it in inches per minute. And if you select that, it's going to say that it can go anywhere from 1 inch a minute to 3 inches a minute. That's the limit. And so you can edit that by going to F1. And stroke rate, I've got 1 inch a minute. You can go from